What are you doing?
Yeah, no, that's the point. Hello, welcome to This One Game. I'm your host, Rob. It's Thursday night. It's ladies' night. And I'm in the house with Nick and Tom. Hi, Nick.
Hello.
And hi, Tom.
Hey.
You do that on purpose.
Different approaches to the hello there.
Yeah, it really
I
slows
tried
me
to
down.
add a bit of oomph to it.
Yeah.
Tom went the other way.
If you are watching us live, you might be watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Periscope on Twitter.
You're on Periscope.
I don't know. I just decided to fuck about with Restream earlier, which I really enjoyed. So welcome. I already can see that Chris Young over on Facebook is saying hello. So big shout out to you. Hi, Chris. And thank you to anyone who joins us live. Some of you might not have joined us live and might be listening to the podcast, in which case you should drink lots of water and stay hydrated. I'm part now of a Reddit called Hydro Bros. This is a Reddit dedicated to people that just make sure we talk about the power of water. Yeah, they're just positive hydro memes.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of these have cropped up. Like I've just joined one called Bro Pill, which is effectively just enormous chads being nice to each other.
Yeah, I like that. Bro Hugs is one. That also works.
I'll go get you the top post of all time. So what it's called. One second.
I feel like I need to join a movement now.
Yeah, you did. Nick, what movement do you want to be a part of?
Fight fatigue, non-bose nutrients. There you go. That's the top post right now.
I think I might join the www.dickbills.com.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't want to be a part of Dick Pills? All right, I was just checking to make sure we're live. We are. Everything's all working. Hey, the propagation. What up? Dick Pills is one that you could get a part of. Maybe you should join one of those.
Maybe you should just change your name to Richard Pills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Richard Problems.
Could do.
No, doesn't want that. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the show. Propagation, Brad Glover, Scott B. Chris Young is Rambo Squirrel, who was on the show earlier talking about Marvel Crisis Protocol, which was fun.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
I saw Brad Glover's Tau fish conversions this week. Those were cool.
Pardon me?
So Brad's been working on this Tau Idnef Deepkin crossover that he likes to do.
I've seen it. How do you feel about it?
I feel it's all right, mate. I like the popping of the orange, you know.
Oh, are you doing a hobby review? I'm in. Tell me all about it.
My review is yes. Good hobby.
Good hobby. Nick, have you settled on a cause you want to be a part of yet?
I think I'm going for the Dick Pills.
You're going for that one. All right.
So,
okay.
Drink water.
Dick Pills, I'm sure, is a subreddit.
And wash those dick pills down with that water.
With that hydro water. Good.
I'm going to see if it's a subreddit. 1 second.
What, Dick Pills? I'm not sure it is.
r/Dick Pills. It is, but there are no posts on it.
Nick, you could be the admin.
Job to do.
Yeah, I'll sign up to be the admin. Give me 5 minutes.
Fantastic. Oh, Brad, you can have to post pictures of that, my dude. Come on.
I just want to say hello to everyone. Thanks for joining us. I also want to say thank you to everyone that's watching on Patreon. You guys are the ballers. We're back in the studio. We're not playing any games. What the hell?
It's great.
What kind of streamers are we?
I know, it's a much easier world where you just chill and just like roll random dice than actually talk
or just
about
react
things.
to YouTube content.
Yeah,
that's cool, dude.
Yes. Is there anyone else you want to insult while we're here, Tom, or just want to?
No, not yet. We'll keep going.
Although I did watch a React YouTube video the other day. It was a French director who was reacting to the Astartes short videos as like one film, and he was like literally blown away by it. So it was cool to see like a non-Warhammer nerd think it's incredible as well.
Yes,
cool.
well, there's. Did you see the? I think they're the rappers who reacted to it. Did you see those guys?
No, I did not.
Because I'm big into rap reaction videos. Because there's
what?
Right,
and really specific.
Okay. In order to make sure that this goes through the correct channel of information, I'm going to have to take you through a story. So, Ansis Ansari, who is like not white, right? Did a stand-up comedy routine where he talked about no one will ever react to anything the same way that black people react to magic, right? And then I was like, bullshit. So I went onto YouTube and I typed that in, and that was the best evening of my entire life. Yeah, and I don't want to ruin A, the stand-up routine, or B, the reaction, but it's some of the funniest shit I've ever seen, ever, right? And now I've forgotten why we were talking about it.
I don't think there was a reason.
What did we say before that? What did we say before? Oh, the reaction videos. That's it.
Started.
Same thing for hip-hop videos. That's all I want, yeah? They're the best reaction videos in the world. And if any of you think that that's not okay, fuck you, yeah? All of that was fine, yeah?
Oh, WSO is just like Astartes reaction by the Cyber Nerds. That's going in my favourites, so I can watch it later.
Nice.
What,
Nice.
Who are the Cyber Nerds? Are those the guys?
I don't know, but it looks cool.
Are they the guys who I'm talking about? They're the guys! They're the guys!
Of course you both know.
They're the fucking guys! They're so good! Yeah? Honestly.
Exact video.
Wait, but before we go any further, I'm putting in Reactor Magic. There is no way that this isn't the best thing you're going to watch ever, right? I'm going to... Yeah, Compton Tricks. Not with David Blaine. He's not even a real magician, is it? He's super weird. This is the one. This is the video. I'm putting this in now. This is a terrible podcast. I want everyone to know that. Right, that's in the chat.
We'll use this 40 minutes of preamble before we do anything.
Right, that's the best 2.5 minutes of your entire fucking life. Right, there we go.
There we go.
Anyway, on with the show. How are you both?
I'm okay, given the circumstances.
What are your circumstances?
Stuck at home, trying to survive. You know me, Rob. I'm too busy just trying to stay alive.
And get those dick pills where they need to go.
I'll give anyone in chat or listening who 100 imaginary points if they can tell me what reference that was to.
You know me, Rob. I'm just trying to stay alive. Is that to do with the Predator film?
No.
Shit.
It's a very obscure one. But anyway, yeah, I'm okay. I've not done that much hobby this week because I got myself a new monitor because I'm working from home a lot, and I've just got a laptop. So I'm like, instead of looking down at my laptop like this, I've got a monitor so I actually look straight and not injure my neck, which is nice.
That is good because it looks like those headphones weigh 1,000 pounds.
They do. They are pretty massive.
Have you noticed that the price of electronics has skyrocketed? Obviously.
Yeah, I just checked out the camera that WSO has linked, and it's about double what I remember it being last time we had a look at these.
They're actually quadruple.
Oh, well, it says new and used from £176.
Yeah, that's triple.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, triple. Because we use those obviously for streaming games. I can send you one. I've got a spare one, which we won't.
Oh, mate, if you could, that'd be fantastic, and I'll send it back.
It's not spare, but yeah, we
well,
can.
Dude, what we could probably do is, I mean, I'll talk to you about it afterwards. Actually, I don't want to.
Let's do admin at the end. Also, your address is 37 Winnet Drive.
Be careful sending back stuff to me, because last time I asked someone to send stuff to me who didn't know where I lived, apart from Nikos, he was pretty organised. They sent it to Stoke by accident, and then the guy nicked it. Thank you, German people. With your weird postcodes.
Nick's great at sending things because when you are the administrator of dickpills.com, you have to make sure that the dick pills.
Nikos sent me a dick pill, which is in fact an elbow for an Acheron knight, which is kind of him.
And let me get this straight: dick pills. They're not to do with your penis. They're to help you be more like Dick Van der Haast.
Yeah, exactly. Play Tau better, right?
Yeah, play Necron's better.
I had to take a bunch of dick pills just to write out this Kroot rundown that I'll be doing later.
Right, okay. So, Tom, how are you? That's my next question.
All right, Sam. Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. I'm good, thanks. I've had a pretty productive week. I finished Lehman Russ. He's up on the shelf over there. He's also on my Twitter that you can check out. And then we also have done all my Nurglings, and I'm just doing a Poxbringer now. He looks awful, but that's okay. You can't tell because my camera sucks. So, yeah, we are, just working my way through my shelves. I need to buy another Poxbringer so I can shut up that Nurgle shelf that's underneath my Imperial Battalion shelf as well, and then I'm going to work on some Grey Knights. So
have you got a good stockpile of stuff to work on, Tom?
Oh, mate, you should see the absolute mess that I've got around here. I've got just like orcs piled up this shelf. I've got Scribbo's Met Guns on the top. I've got Gene Stealers piled up the next shelf. I've got Eldar piled up the next shelf. This one's got some Space Marines all piled up, but we're working through those right now. So I'm going to do my Grey Knights, Imperial Knights. Then I'm going to have another Chaos Battalion section down here for Chaos Space Marines. And then I'm probably going to get working on some more Imperial and Chaos Battalions that I can start fitting in the lower shelves. So these two are going to be for Imperium, and those two on the far side are going to be for Xenos. So we're working our way through a cabinet, hopefully getting as many done before Ninth Ed drops as possible.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Nice. So Tom, I've actually gone down a different route because, as you know, the studio is I'm surrounded by hobby.
You are, yes.
But I actually have done something which I'm quite proud of, which I have refused. I basically have just because today, very excitingly, 40k news for me, I got not only a Deathkiller Wartrike, I also got this Ghazghkull Thraka from my man.
Where did he come from?
My man Jimmy 1080 over in Australia.
Nice.
So it's been produced in Nottingham, it's flown to Australia, and then it's flown from Australia back to me. So in the most carbon unneutral.
Yeah, you have a reason for global warming.
Yeah. Specifically, I'm
specifically you.
Yeah, but I'm very excited about painting that. But as some of you guys may have been watching, I'm nearly finished. I think I'll finish tonight all of my salamanders that I've done, and then I was planning on painting up some Lord of the Rings models. But instead of that, what I'm trying to say is I've only put one project to the side of me, and then I've just been like, that's the one project I'm doing, and I'm doing that from start to finish. And then I'm going to move on to a bit like you did with Lehman Russ, right?
Yeah, well, it was one model, and I never wanted to get to a point where I'd get bored of painting it. So I did take a few breaks and what have you, where I just wouldn't paint too much, or I'd paint different parts of it, right? But that took me about 4 or 5 weeks. So that's that kept me occupied for a while, and it was a reward piece that I let myself paint when I'd painted all my guard battalions. So I think I'm going to need another reward piece when I finished my Grey Knight double battalion shelf. Because I found Grandmaster Voldus, because I got the Gulliman kit with the 3 models in it. So I'm going to paint him up as well. So I'm going to paint up 30 Strike Marines, and then I'm going to do Voldus as a reward for that. And then we'll move on to the Knights, which I'm going to hate every moment of.
Why are you going to hate painting the Knights?
I fucking hate painting them, mate. I fucking hate painting them. I've sprayed them all.
Knights are easy to paint.
Well, I know, but they're so dull.
Are we talking about Imperial Knights, right?
Yeah, so I did them. They're tabletop standard. By my standards, so they're exactly the ones I used at the LGT, but I wanted to, finish them. So I'm going to do all the plating behind, like all the mechanical bits, and that is like, oh, this bit's going to be gold, and this bit's going to be brass, and this bit's going to be silver, and we swap, and we keep going round and round, so it's all like, it doesn't ever look like one complete plate. And then I'm washing them down to make the toes look proper and what have you, and fixing up the rims around the side of the blue and fixing all that up. So it's just going to take a while just because it's so much plating. So yeah, I don't want to just completely mess around with it. Unlike the Nurgle stuff, which I can do to a degree, it's just with those I want to be a bit more boxy, clean, crisp, that kind of stuff.
Okay, good. Well, it's nice to hear you taking it so seriously.
But I am an award-winning hobbyist who has been
you are.
Yeah, don't forget that. Don't forget that, Rob.
No, I won't. I know that. So my 2 new Orc editions. Not that either of you asked, but I'm gonna let you know.
Tell me about your Orc editions, Rob.
What Orc editions have you got there, Rob?
They are Ghazghkull Thraka. Thanks, Jimmy 1080. You fucking big dick energy wizard. And also Deathkiller Wartrike. But I'm actually. You would think Ghazghkull will go to the top, but actually the Deathkiller Wartrike is going to go to the top because I think he's you could actually make some, not a smash captain, but like a punch orc, a pork as they call them, pork. I'm going to use one of those more than I probably will use Ghazghkull. Plus, also I'm thinking of modding Ghazghkull. I don't know if you guys have seen. Some people have put some jet engines on Ghazghkull on Twitter. That picture's going around. It looks pretty sweet.
I haven't,
Okay, well that looks great. Also, big shout out Scrivo for sending me the Deathkiller Wartrike. Loved it. Also, Scrivo's a fucking criminal. He has clipped off none of the little bits. Like it's half built.
Would you say he's a hobby criminal?
Yeah, kind of.
Is he now the worst?
You mean Scrivo had the cheek to send you a free model, and he's had some of the bits from it?
Yeah, no, he hasn't clipped off. No, not that. He's half built it, but then he hasn't actually filed down the fucking bits of sprue that you leave on sometimes.
Wait, he's not taking a flash off it.
Is this man who keeps giving me grief for my crystal net guns not even someone who drills their barrel and remove the flash and the bits?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm not even the worst hobby criminal.
You scrape off the flash, then you glue it together.
Who would have thought?
Thank you so much. That's the process. You cut it out. Go on, Tom. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say the worst hobby criminal in the team isn't the guy who made the crystal net guns. It's the guy who does all the artwork.
Yeah, yeah. That's the problem.
Steeped in irony.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks very much, Scriver. I appreciate that kind of at this stage. All the extra work I've got to do. But yeah, anyway, the Deathkiller Wartrike is going to go to the top, and then Ghazghkull is going to be in second place. So they've bumped above all of my Lord of the Rings models, and I say all of them. It's literally one character and 10 dwarves, but still.
Which character have you got there, Rob?
I have got Billy Connolly.
Oh, okay, that doesn't count.
Dane Ironhoof, I think that's his name.
Yeah, is it the new one or the old one?
The new one.
I've got the old one.
A wonderful friend of the show gave me Dane Ironhoof. Basically, I've killed it today.
Have you got all the goats?
Yeah, I got goat. No, I haven't got any goats. I want goats. Anyway, this isn't the show for that. Right, on to news about 40k. So I'm excited because I'm going to... it's more orcs to... Because I've painted quite a lot of the stuff I've painted during lockdown has been my 40k orc army. So I'm very excited to play on the tabletop when we get around to it. But I can't decide next. I'd like yours two's advice. Should I paint some looters up?
No.
Okay, hold on, listen to me. Or... killer cans with rockets.
Killer cans with rockets.
That's the question, Twitch chat. What do you think?
Don't you dare Twitch chat.
There's also a wild card.
I would also go killer cans. I think they'd be more fun to paint.
I think they're better as a unit.
Do you actually think they're better, or Troll think they're better?
I think Troll thinks they're better.
Yeah, same. I think Troll thinks they're better. The reason I think killer cans is because I think if you mix that in with the mech guns, is I could have like a lot of wounds at toughness 5 with a 5-up invulnerable save, re-rolling once to hit. Is pretty cool.
Sorry.
No, so what, you're upset? If you spoke your
I've elbowed a paint palette into a cup of water and all the water just jumped out. Give me a minute.
Well, in the chat, Desert Sketch says looters, Fulgrima says killer cans, Sergeant Rolf says cans stuffed with rockets. Nice. Commandos. No, dude, I'm never going to do commandos. I think they're rubbish.
They're good in certain situations.
Are they?
Yeah. I think they're great for orcs if you are playing ITC style 40k, because you can use them. They're very, very cheap deep striking unit to get. What's that secondary called? It's been so long since I played 40k.
Where you've got the 4 corners and you've got to be in all of it. Recon.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they're great for scoring recon, as are Deathcopters. They're dead cheap for that. So.
Okay.
But otherwise, apart from that, yes, they are crap.
Yeah, well, that's the point. I don't want to build a crap army. I want to build a sweet-ass army. So I think maybe killer cans, might get up there. Doesn't mean I'll have to build them. But anyway, thanks for that. Thanks for my 40k. Because now I'm not just doing the list that I want to run, because the Deathkiller Wartrike will be the list I want to run. That'll be the perfect thing. But after that, there's the variations on the list I want to run, where I drop all the boys and then I put killer cans in instead, which I think everyone will think is obviously moronic, but I think it's a good idea.
If you think it's a good idea, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Okay, well, thanks for me talking about my hobby. On to 40k news this week. 40k news this week. There is some. There is some.
Is there?
Yeah, there's several bits of news, actually. Number one, I'm going to let Tom tell one piece of the puzzle, but there's a specific Games Workshop-related one in that tomorrow the web store is reopening for orders. So if there's anything, so you finally will be able to get your hands on what's the orcs? Fuck, the orc box. Saga
Is
the
that
Wolf.
one with the Space Wolves?
Yeah, Saga the Wolf. You'll be able to get your hands on Saga the Wolf. Oh, hi, Scary. I met him. He's such a nice guy. So, yeah, but it won't be opening for Canadians like Scary, unfortunately, nor will it be open for Americans or Australians. So they've just decided to ignore 2 continents, nor Kiwis, sorry.
Is that because of Brexit?
Breakfast means breakfast.
I think it is partly to do with Brexit. It's also part to do with TTIP and her emails. So I don't know what any of that means, but those are the reasons why not. Tom, did you get any of those gags?
I mean, I got the emails gag and I got the Brexit gag, and that was about as much that landed with me. So
That's all that we needed. That'll work. So are you excited about also the other piece of news which I've talked about on the show already, but I'll talk with you guys about? Games Workshop have released some exclusive miniatures which they are going to send to local gaming stores for free.
And then they're going to auction them online.
Limited amounts, limited amounts, and then those local gaming stores can sell them for whatever they would like to. And then get them. And they're both very excellent sculpts. There's the guy from Predator, and then there's a lady not from Predator, but from my dreams. So I guess in that situation, I'm the Predator. Which is nice. But there's only one being sent to some gaming stores, with some gaming stores that are larger getting more. Realistically, do you think that's going to help those gaming stores? There's been a lot of controversy about it on Twitter for some reason. I don't know why, and in Facebook groups. Maybe I've only seen the reaction to controversy. You know, when people are like, fuck, everyone who's complained about this is a dick, but no one actually complains about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not really seen much complaint about it, to be honest.
Oh well, they're maybe the only people I've seen complaining.
Maybe I don't hang around in the right circles, Rob.
I mean, I've seen people just going, wow, look at how much he's selling from the internet. That's about it. The Glasshammer one, I think, is the only exception, because it's the money from the Glasshammer one is going to help the heroes. So it feels like people who are donating anyway are donating via that route. That way they might get, a free model out of it as well. You know what I mean?
I saw their thing, and I didn't think that was the case. I thought they basically, if you make an order to their shop, you get
there are two. So there are two. So the first one they did was they put one on eBay, and that one is for the Colonel, obviously, and that one for money. The profits from that go to help the heroes. The other one is a raffle thing, and I think that one is because Manny's got a bit lonely, because Manny's already been visited by the Gambling Commission once, so I feel like he's trying to get him to come back again.
Oh, right, okay. Because a raffle is technically gambling and therefore not okay.
And he was visited the first time over a raffle specifically, so that's honestly. They're technically raffle. I don't know if they're raffling the opportunity to buy, and therefore there's no financial value specifically to what you're gambling, or I don't know. I'm not particularly okay with like the specifics of gambling regulations with regards to raffles, but either way, it kind of raises the question of.
Well, this is actually where I can help, because as you know, under the 1974 Act of Pubs, Bars, and I don't know where that was going, to be honest. I couldn't think of it. So so they pretty much, as Irish Minotaur said, they're pretty much giving each store 25 to 30 quid. Scott B said they've seen some of them on eBay for £200. To be honest, I don't really give a shit.
There's one store that's trying to sell it at a buy it now price of £399.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I think maybe, but is it? I mean, I think a good thing about it is they are kind of. Is a nice gesture for independent stores, and it's kind of like they're trying. It's a way of them encouraging people to go and spend money at those stores to keep them alive, which I think is a great thing.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll stay as a limited edition model for all time, but I mean, like a good example I can think of is like Marbo, right? And Marbo, although like originally released as like a store birthday thing, wasn't he? And then he came and became a proper thing, because it feels like a bit of a waste to spend all that money on an injection mold that you're not going to use repeatedly, right? So
I think the exact right decision is each store just puts them on at 400 quid, yeah, and then someone out there will buy them and just be like, that's fine, like. Yeah. There's
and
limited
then
amounts.
The actual model comes out properly, a non-limited run, like 2 months later.
Just whatever, just do that, and like it's like not buyer beware, but I just mean like why can't someone get sense of this? Just be like, it's 400 quid, and wants to buy it. There you go. That's on you, and I think that's super okay. Like I think that I'm not going to cry into my biscuits that I can't. I mean, I will later, but that's for a whole different reason. I'm not going to cry because I can't buy a model, or like because someone who's got 400 quid. I mean, people can buy like.
Well, it depends how broken are his rules.
Well, I mean, I'm just always, I could just paint another fella as a black guy and be fine. I'd be like, this.
You could just do that with all your other models anyway. No one's making you paint them a certain ethnicity. I mean, like a lot of my models are like different ethnicities because I like the idea of painting lots of different colors on my models. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and also it's more representative anyway, so it's like fine.
And I think, like Nick said, it's a great gesture, right?
Yeah.
It's nice. Like, they've just been nice. They've helped out some local gaming stores. Maybe not by a lot. Maybe by
It's better than nothing, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Maybe the PR is better than. Maybe the PR that the Games Workshop are getting is better than the help that they're giving. But they're giving something. They didn't have to do anything, right? So
yeah. It might not be helping them out massively financially, but it's sending a message, I think, and I think that's the important thing to consumers. That
Games Workshop loves to send a message about like the Nottingham Mafia.
Send a message.
We're gonna send them a message. this abuse of the Space Marine Codex is not acceptable.
Yeah, and I guess some stores maybe will be getting it in the neck from like salty consumers, but so the stores feel. But I don't know, like whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna buy it anyway. So. I just don't care. Right, so the other piece of news is in the world of app pairings.
Has there been a marriage?
There's been a marriage between
a pairing of a pairings.
Yeah, well, I actually think this already happened live on the Honest Wargamer show months ago.
It did, yeah.
But it was totally broken by...
Yeah, I think Anyway, but whatever... Down Under Pairings and Best Coast Pairings have decided to form an alliance and to bring us the best pairings that we can. So it's the Down Under Best Pairings. It's not.
Is that the official name?
No, that's not the official name. That's not the official name.
What is going to be the name?
I don't know, or do I? Pairings. But I don't. But it's quite cool because it's because Josh and Adam, who run Down Under Pairings, are amazing dudes, and they're super passionate about making sure that the community get the very best product that the community can get. And the Best Coast Pairings have also been there for a while, and so those two forces joining up of people who've been and existed in the community, and then actual people who give a shit about what the community want, is a nice like coupling. Does that make sense? Or was I not subtle enough about how I said that?
I hope they're upgrading their servers as well. That's all.
Well, I think that's the point. I think that's Down Under Pairings have probably got better servers than BCP had. Because I'm pretty sure BCP. Do you reckon they would have done this had they not had the huge crash at LVO last year?
The point is that BCP is actually pretty unintuitive as a piece of software and as like an integrated platform. It also hasn't really developed over the course of X amount of time. It's developed a tad, but if you look at what could have happened over the period of like 40 years, I was first introduced to BCP LVO like maybe 2016, and realistically, it hasn't done much. In the way of development since then. It's done some, and I know the guys that run it, they're super sweet dudes, nicest guys you could want, but you gotta say what you see, and I think that they could do a lot more work. So having the driving force of the Down Under Pairings providing that driving force is actually a real big positive, because as we know, North America tends to get a lot of media coverage, and therefore there's a lot so therefore Best Coast Pairings is used a lot is used a lot over there, and then sometimes isn't used in other places. But it hasn't necessarily been driven from the ground up because it's almost been the giant in the market that hasn't needed to adapt to survive. But you're right, Nick. Because of LVO, maybe it's had to adapt to survive, and that's a huge positive, I think.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So it's good for the 40k community. We might get a better pairings app. We might have better tracked player data. We might have better data that talks about win percentages, meta percentages, like unit choices, secondary choices, depending on the game system. So, and while that information sometimes is skew-if because of just like interpretation, it might also provide genuine insight to gamers, which is great, right?
Oh yeah, really good. I've been having a bit of a dig on 40kstats.com today, just having a look at some stuff. That's been really interesting, just to have a look at some of the stats that I didn't even know were in there. So more of that is always useful.
One thing I hope that comes out of this marriage is so one thing that I heard recently on one of your daytime shows, Rob, with Val and the Falcon, is that the Falcon actually manually inputs all that data from BCP, which I didn't realise, and that is just an amazing thing that he does, and so much hard work. So I kind of hope that this marriage allows, I don't know the technicalities of it, but I hope that allows them to send him the data so he doesn't have to do that, so he can actually spend time analysing it more.
Well,
It doesn't have to manually input it. I don't know if that can happen or not.
Yeah, it can. Actually, the very best thing that can ever happen is that you could streamline the data so that it's 8 o'clock. The best thing, everyone's a hero. Everyone in the chat's a hero. You're a hero. You two are heroes. The best thing that could be done actually is that it's all automated. So like at input by an opponent, like I put my list in, that'll auto-generate some stat information on the other side. I type in I do pick my secondaries, that generates data about me and generally about secondaries that are choosing. This is obviously under ITC. Under different game formats, it would be different, but generate the secondary information. So, you could eventually get a stat breakdown of like, okay, these are all the Drukhari players. These are the units that they've taken. Actually, Drukhari players on average take these secondaries, but this particularly Drukhari player who does really well specifically always takes, or most commonly takes, these secondaries. So what's the difference? And it's really great to be able to break that information down because you'll be able to identify trends and also identify outliers, either good or bad. So it's honestly it's a really cool thing if it's developed well, and I'm thinking Josh will be able to help develop it well, which is a positive thing.
So one of the things I was looking for on the 40kstats.com site today was looking for the performance of certain units, and I couldn't find the stats there, but I know they did them for the LVO, specifically last year, because I remember going up to Scotland listening to a podcast about it. But if you could get access to those stats specifically, that would be both very impressive and very, very useful.
Yeah. Well, I think there's loads of suggestions, but ultimately we're looking at a better player state. Like we had the Blood Bowl guy on, Mike, on the show last week on one of the day shows, and the how far ahead the Blood Bowl community is makes 40k and Age of Sigmar look like a bunch of yokels like throwing shit at each other.
We basically are, though. Let's be honest.
I mean, that's basically
I've been
what we
to
are.
Blood Bowl,
I'm not sure I also want that to change, but like.
Yeah. I personally am into my massive fan. I'm a massive fan of scat lobbing. It's great.
Good. Well, one of the other things that has been the last news section is for you, Tom, to introduce because it's my segue. There has been, I don't know if it's caused a storm, but a friend of the show, Innes Wilson, has been doing something. Well, you know what he's been doing. Tell us what he's been doing.
So Innes has been running a poll on Twitter because he got really bored because, there's nothing to do in Scotland, especially when you're inside. And he's been running a poll trying to work out what 40k players perceive to be the worst unit in the game. So we asked what the worst unit was in each codex, and from that he generated a 32-unit shortlist, and he pitted them against each other in a 1 versus 1 poll to see who would come up with as the worst unit. So far we've got to the semi-finals. We've got Kroot Carnivores are in there for some reason, and then we've got Demon Hosts, Necron Monoliths, and then you've also, not monoliths, obelisks, and then you've also got, what's the fourth one? Mutilators, that's the other one. I know a lot of people were talking about the Stomper potentially should have made it, but it ran into the obelisk early. That was probably perceived.
Stomper's one of the best
really
units
good.
Well, it is actually not bad, but I think it's more about perception rather than about reality, because we were talking on Twitter, me, him, and Liam Corrode Royal from Goonhammer were talking about like what the worst unit was, and we discovered that the worst unit was in fact the players. So we ended up with it's more of a perception thing rather than a reality. So we're at the final four, and a few people, including myself, have gone on to write a kind of sarcastic, jokey report on why our unit is not, in fact, the worst unit in the game. So Loftus did Demon Hosts, I did Kroot, barely. We had Nathan Whitbread from a Man's Journey into 40k blog. He did the Mutilators, I believe, and then I'm not sure who the last guy was who did the obelisks, because he's not in the Twitter chat. But yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know. Sorry, I
there
was
is
just
one more
dancing.
bit of news after that, by the way, as
I
well.
don't know if anyone can hear the music coming from the outside of my office.
Or my office. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's become a spectacular game of one-upmanship at this point.
Okay, so
come by our on outside a minute ago.
So, and because of that, you have also a big shout out to Calhammer Darren in the chat. Because of that, we're going to do a rundown on Kroot today. Is that correct?
Yeah. So when I did the Kroot thing, I did it at 3 a.m. after I'd had a few drinks, and it wasn't the most well-researched piece I've ever done. I ended up going in just saying, yeah, Well, I was more fussed with the jokes and rather than making it serious than actually the research. So I went in, I read the page, and then I went down, but that many points, fine, whatever, bash that out. And it was like, well, here's why leadership 6 is in fact a good thing. and things like that. So
in terms of it being a rubbish unit, did you ever get to the Kroot of the problem?
I did get to the Kroot of the problem. It's a very rubbish unit. But actually, okay, we've got a use.
I hope you used that joke.
I didn't know. I've got a similar joke lined up in the rundown, but it's not quite as good as that one. What's ended up happening is I posted it, and then James Grover and then another guy from Reddit both commented, but I got the Kroot points wrong, which I had. So obviously I gave James a bit of the bully about being sloppy. That was fun. And then, so I've gone down, I've done a proper one, and I've got that ready for rundown today.
Okay, good. So that's some fun news. So that's why we are doing a rundown on Kroot today. We'll also be doing a rundown on a Lord Discordant. Now, the Disco Lord obviously made an impact on the scene last year, but me and Nick wanted to have a conversation about it with narrative. Nicky D. Williams asked, will it be a proper one? Oh, Nick, have you got some disco lights on you?
Every time you say Disco Lord, this is going to happen.
Nick with the physical jokes, as per...
No, Nick is only here to discourage audio listeners. That is his role. No, he will come and watch and bump up our Twitch view account, please.
Yeah, you will do that right now. Yeah. Anyway, well, anyone who's here, thanks for being here. Appreciate you tons. You guys are great. Well done. Congratulations. You're the heroes. So, which would you guys... They could be the heroes.
I know.
Did you say there was one more piece of news before we got started?
Oh, right. So, Tabletop Simulator. Simulator, it's worth just noting this because because this Discord is often inundated with notifications and people might have missed it. So a couple of the modders for the Tabletop Simulator group have been banned from the community. I haven't really gone into detail about why that's happened, but either way, the mods that they produced are now not considered to be totally safe, or at least there's a potential for them to include something that they couldn't include.
Oh my god, are there Russian hackers in the Tabletop Simulator modding community?
No. But
is there nowhere they won't infiltrate?
So I didn't know exactly which mods had been affected. If you got something from the workshop, that's absolutely fine because they're on the Steam store and therefore you're subject to a relative degree of safety with those. It's the ones that you save and download and save manually from GitHub that you need to be careful of. So what I've done is I've cleared out my save and load files and I've re-downloaded them from the Discord. So it'd probably be a good idea if everyone else does the same as well.
Okay, number one, I didn't know you could even download stuff from the GitHub store as opposed
to... So basically, it's just a link that you can download models and units from. And a lot of those are created by two people who have now been banned from the community, so therefore they potentially could sneak.
Did you search on a Russian website for the GitHub muscular men with guns?
I mean, I'm not prepared to answer that question.
Unless under oath.
I'm pledging the fifth on that one, sir.
I'm pledging the fifth.
Thank you very much.
Jonathan's the best.
You don't need to know about my fetishes. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good information. I think we might be hosting a Tabletop Simulator tournament this weekend. I'm on a phone call tonight. I'm not sure on the details, but that probably is interesting.
Playing, but it's also RuneScape Double XP weekend, so obviously that's going to consume my time. So...
Also, you've got a Valorant key. So...
I do have a Valorant key that I need to abuse. Also, you guys are going to make me play League, which is going to sadden me. But...
Anyway.
One additional piece of news. I'm running a TTS League of Nights tournament in a couple of weeks.
Very excited about that.
On the 17th.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll just be down.
Oh my god, that's so exciting! The 17th of May.
Yes.
Oh shit! I'm excited for that. That's fucking rad. Okay, great. Let us know. We'll tweet that out, right? All the details. We'll make some images. Fuck yeah! Let's get involved. That'd be really fun. All right, good news. Good news section. So we're going to do 2 rundowns today, both on Kroot and the Lord Discordant. Who would like to start?
Should we play rock paper scissors to see who goes first, Nicholas?
Oh my god!
Sorry. Okay.
1 second. Let me just get Skype up because I've got a bunch of things up here. You ready? We'll go on 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, go. Oh, 1, 2, 3, go. You win. Okay. Do you want to go first or second?
We'll do Lord Discordant first.
Okay.
Woohoo!
Sorry, I mean the Disco Lord.
The Disco Lord, yeah. Things will only get better. Can only get better. All right, the Disco
All right.
Lord.
Yeah. So me and Rob kind of double teamed this one a little bit, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Bet you did.
Kind of.
Rob? I've had to close all of my tabs down because the internet's being shoddy. Because I think everyone is streaming.
Because there's nothing else to do.
The clapathon, or whatever's going on. Yeah, so we've currently dropped 20% of our frames,
which
is
the capathon that's
honestly
right
really atrocious. It's the worst the internet has been since, and it might be because we're doing it to restream as opposed to doing it straight to Twitch. So it's something for me to research later. So I've had to close. What I'm trying to say is, Nick, I've had to close all my tabs. So
okay, so you've got no information.
Well, I was going to read out the narrative, but I've had to close my tabs. But I can go. I'll go get it again. Hold on.
Okay. Well, yeah, because the codex information I've got, I kind of assumed you would take on the narrative side of things. So yeah, so in the rundown, we're going to start off with the narrative, then look at the model, and then delve into the rules. But essentially, a summary for the Lord Discordant narrative, he's just an evil tech marine, isn't he? Riding a giant hell beast that he's put. So it's like he's put a demon inside some sort of vehicle, and it's mutated it into some horrible, destructive beast.
Yeah, so he's a Chaos Lord, as you expect. So I'll take this on, but I want to make sure I get the details right. So he is a Chaos Lord, as you would expect, but very much in the theme of a Warpsmith, which is the Chaos variant of a tech tech marine, right? But obviously you have to remember that the tech marines in for the good guys, they stick a candle on something, they rub oil over like a vehicle, as opposed to like fill it with the tortured soul of a demon to bring it to life. So there's that inherent difference, you know.
And also the fact that like a normal tech priest is they're just sort of maintaining the technology, aren't they? Whereas a chaos one will be actively experimenting with new stuff, won't they?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Cool.
They'll just go, it's cool, it's also weird and super funky. So yeah, that's effectively what the Lord actual Discordant is. He rides, I think it's called a Hell Beast, but I'm going to have to just...
Hellstalker.
A Hellstalker, thank you. I'm going to have to get my notes back up on my phone, so I'm sorry about this. This isn't as good as I wanted it to be. But everything...
Sounds like the Necron Codex.
Well, just the internet's just still being so shit for no reason. Anyway, I'm all triggered when it does that. But let us know what it's like on the stream. Hopefully it's fine. I can talk to you guys fine.
I'm surprised no one's asked what the drawing is in the bottom right yet, by the way. No one has even said what. I think people have just
tuned in.
Art. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
Right, the Discord. Okay, right. Let me just go and get this for you.
Well, should we talk about the model as well?
Yeah,
okay.
I really like the model.
It's cool. Tom? I really like it. Yeah, it's definitely cool. I don't think I'd like transporting it through Manchester Airport, but apart from that, yeah, it's cool.
No, yeah, I think transport's probably the only issue that you'd have with it. It doesn't look like it's just a weird profile and shape, isn't it? It's not like a nice rhino-shaped box or bike-shaped box that you can sort of slot in nicely.
But it's not as big as you would think.
No, but it's still like lots of spiky bits, which you expect of Chaos. I feel like when it stays on in the chat, who I know loves magnetizing stuff constantly, would have a field day with magnetizing all of the tentacles just so they wouldn't snap. That way you can just add them all on afterwards. I mean, also you can just move them around, so you can walk around things. It's cool. But yeah, it's a really nice model. I really like it.
I bet it is. I bet it is one of those models that does all those little tentacles will eventually snap off at some point. Yeah. And either never be glued back on again or never be put on in the first place. Because those types of models, I don't know about you guys, but with that type of model, I do tend to trim off some of the unnecessary stuff.
Well, also with your army, Nikos, as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that you're doing with your Marines, when you use them for Chaos, they're not very spiky, and I think that's intentional. So if you're not using the spikes, it kind of makes it fit with the theme a bit better, I guess.
Yeah, although I don't think I could get away with this model being Imperium if I was to build it.
The super cool thing about the model, though, is The super cool thing about the model, though, is it's really fantasy-esque. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Because 40k is meant to be space fantasy, not sci-fi, which people normally miss. So it's pretty rad. You know, like most people would be like, okay, I could build a demon engine. Probably I'll build a tank and I'll get inside it so I'm safe. But this motherfucker's like, no, I'm going to build a dragon made of metal, sit in it.
It doesn't have any wings.
Yeah, and I'm going to charge. Yeah, or, you know, whatever, like donkey elephant.
That's still more realistic than Daenerys Targaryen, you know, but...
Still better than Season 8 of Game of Thrones?
Yeah, 100%,
absolutely.
yeah.
Apart from Pod Song, can we all agree that Pod Song was the Pog?
I don't know what that is.
When Podrick sang.
Oh, I don't remember that.
You remember Pod Song, Jenny of Oldstones? You're a fucking Philistine.
I've blurred out most of Season 8 from my mind, so unfortunately that...
I erased it.
Yeah, it's gone.
All right, well, okay. So the Lord Discordants are Chaos Lords who have arcane mastery of machinery similar to Warpsmiths, which they use to enhance the powers of demon engines, and they can also cause nearby machines to glitch and seize by bellowing profane litanies. Obviously, demon engines
my favourite thing.
Are machines which have demons inside them. It's literally that.
I too like to ride at my enemies bellowing profanities. It's my favourite thing to do.
Same. The mere presence of a Lord Discordant is able to short-circuit machinery, shut down augurs, cause servos and actuators to fail, and corrupt machine spirits. Their Hellstalker mounts use magma cutters to slice open a vehicle they have pinned with their enormous hypno-armor syringes, inject scrap code and demonic data phages directly into the machine's circuitry.
He's a walking USB with malware installed.
Sounds like Mechanicum. That's actually a thing in my lore as well.
He's actually that tabletop simulator download that Tom downloaded.
It's called. Well, I removed it, but yeah, it's called Scrap Code. There you go.
Did you?
Yes.
Also,
I did.
Scrap Code is just a cool name for viruses in the future that are electronic, right?
Yep. Yeah. Don't you dare. Let's leave it.
Well, Tom, Tom, let me tell you, you've got a fan on YouTube. I just want you to know. I'm not going to read out that comment.
Why? I don't understand, but okay.
Turrican on YouTube is saying that you seem like someone who loves Brienne of Tarth. I would like to point out, I love Brienne of Tarth.
Only because I'm Northern. There you go.
There you go. Good. Right.
And you're tall.
Not ginger though, unfortunately. That's it.
A Lord Discordant can hear a machine's pain, feeling it struggle to reroute vital functions to maintain system integrity. Should the need for close combat arise, a Lord Discordant himself lunges forward with a massive impaler, chain glaive, and mecha tendrils. There you go. And then the Hellstalker Demon Engine mounts of a Lord Discordant are no less nefarious, able to parasitically devour the motive force of its mechanical prey to be Imperial or Zenith in its origin. As it does so, its own metallic frame swells with ingested code and subroutines. The Lord Discordant siphons off the pained spirit of dying technology. This harvested energy is then used to reinvigorate other demon engines, or is released as beams to infect the systems of other vehicles. Oh, can I just say big shout out to Elm JP in the chat who's just joined in.
Really doesn't like Rogue One.
No, 100 points. That's the secret. That's the secret code for being here. Well done. Congratulations. They've seen the. I'm going to put secret code in every social media post in the future. So 100 points for Elm. Well done. You win. So anyway, what do you guys think of the narrative?
He sounds cool. Yeah.
Makes sense. Like. Is he like siphoning off the code and then he gets fatter as he gets more code inside of him?
No, because he expels it. It's like that film where they attach the butt of someone to the face of someone.
The Human Centipede.
What have you been watching?
But materials. No, but vehicles. So you'd have a rhino, and then a Lord Discordant chugging on the exhaust pipe of the rhino.
Nailed it.
And just like eating its insides, and then getting bigger and stronger as a result of it. I think there's a moral in there for all of us to live our lives by.
I want to say a big shout out to all my Twitter followers, Sigmar and Six, who is watching live. That's nice. He's just going, is this on Twitter? And I'm like, yeah, it's on Twitter. Twitter's my new. We're also, by the way, we also streamed for a solid 6 months on Mixer. No one ever watched.
Wait, we actually streamed on Mixer?
Yeah.
At some point, can we just project it live onto the side of a building and see who stands outside and watches?
Yeah, I could do that too. I like the narrative. It's quite cool, and also we often don't the machine spirit for the vehicles in 40k are talked about quite a lot for the Imperium, but we don't really get to hear much about scrap code or anything even approaching AI, and it's a nice nod to actual technology as opposed to we stick a candle on it and rub oil in it. So I like the narrative. I'm into it.
Favourite thing to do.
Yeah.
Sounds like a bathtub there, Rob.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there we go. That's the narrative, and we've talked about the model. So on to the rules.
We have. So today I was preparing this rundown, going through all the many books and resources that are to do with the Lord Discordant, and we had a bit of a discussion off air beforehand about it was a little bit arduous to get the information together because there's so much. There's the Chaos Codex, there's the Chaos Codex version 2, there's the Vigilus campaign, there's the Psychic Awakening, also a very minor part of the Demon Codex to this, and other stuff. So there's so much information to go through for this rundown, and it was just a lot. So there's lots of stuff that you can actually do with the Lord Discordant, which generally in the rundown we might go through everything that you can do with a unit and talk about it. But because there's so much, I've kind of I went through all of the information and sieved out all the relevant stuff for Lord Discordant, but then kind of narrowed it down a little bit to 3 legions, which I think is probably the best ones to use it in my personal opinion. But it's just a bit of like a top-down summary to start with. I feel like the Lord Discordant fills the role of like a bully piece, almost like maybe it could be like a hero or like a knight sort of assassin role. You can kind of use him as a bit of a tank, but that's stacking minuses to hit on him. Very much a distraction piece. Yeah. So go ahead, Tom.
And that works really well with the conceal stratagem for Alpha Legion, which allows you to stick it at the front.
Yeah, I think a lot of people used it for that. But I think the downside of it is it's over the 9 wounds threshold as a character, so it's targetable. It's roughly the same points as a Demon Prince, so I think there's an argument between which is better. I personally would prefer Demon Prince because it flies as well. And also I think to make it really good, or to make it, I'm not sure you could run it on its own and it'd be worth the 150 points necessarily by itself running around. Like Tom, you did a rundown ages ago on the Nemesis Dreadnought.
Yeah. That was like last month. That was,
yeah.
It feels like forever.
Feels like ages ago.
It was also the same time it's also the same time you wrote Richard Siegler's list.
Yes.
Nick.
Yeah. So that's when I wrote his Tau Farsight Enclaves list. So whereas the Nemesis Dreadnought, I feel you can just pay the points, send him off, it does his job. I'm not sure the Lord Discordant does the same thing for its points, because to make it, there's a lot of buffs you can stack on it. A lot of them are -1s to hit, a lot of them are +1 attacks, a lot of them are +1 to wounds. So there's loads of ways you can buff it, whereas I think if you're going to put him in a list, there's going to be that sweet spot of how much do I invest in buff pieces for this model. If you invest too much or too little, you need to find that sweet spot. I honestly don't know what that sweet spot is. But what I'm going to focus on in the rules is I think there's 3 legions that I think he's probably best in. I think they are the Renegades chapter / the Red Corsairs, because that gives you run and charge.
I literally had a guy at the GT finale run all boy across the board and charge me in the first turn in Hammer and Anvil. That was pretty interesting. I really like the Renegades chapters for run and charge. It does rely heavily on warp time, but I think it's still really good. The other legion I think is Alpha Legion, and that's mainly because you can stack so many -1s to hit and do the conceal stratagem. There's a lot of other sneaky stratagem with the Alpha Legion as well. And my third one that I've picked, I think I did look at Night Lords, because there's a few things you do with Night Lords, but I think the stratagem about turning auras off.
With turning what? Sorry.
Auras off. So Night Lords have got a stratagem that allows you to turn an aura off within 18 inches.
Oh yes, that's a really good one. But in terms of using the Lord Discord, and the third legion that I went for was Emperor's Children, because I think they've got like quite a reasonably strong trait, and there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with them to make them fantastic in combat as well. So I'll start by looking at the rules. So his data slate. So he's 150 points. He has a degrading move profile from 12, 9 to 6.
But 12 is a nice start, right?
12 is a nice start, pretty big. There are other ways that we'll come to later to buff that, either through running and charging, or a specialist detachment, which gives you +2 movement to that as well. So yeah, 12 is pretty nice. Then his weapon skill, ballistic skill 2, which is the best you can get. His strength 4, but that's only really relevant because he's never really strength 4 because his weapons all give him +2 or double his strength or +3. Toughness 6, which is it's okay. 12 wounds, which obviously is one of the problems which makes him targetable as a character. He's got 4 attacks, but he's got other attacks in his profile, which we'll come to in a second. Leadership 9, a 2-up save. I don't think he has an invulnerable save.
He's a demon, so he has a 5+.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's got a 5+ demon invuln save, which is quite nice. So his weapon, he's got the dude riding on top. He's got his Impaler Chain Glaive, which is a pretty sweet weapon. So when he charges, it's ×2 strength, and it's AP2 damage 2. But otherwise, it's +2 strength, AP2 damage 2. So he's got 4 attacks with that, which is pretty good. And then he has another 6 attacks, but then this degrades from 5 to 4 with his Mecha Tendrils and Limbs. And they are strength 7, AP2 damage, D3. And then he also has 1 Technovirus Injector, which is that USB with his malware on and his scrap code, which is 1 attack. It's strength 8, AP4, damage D3, and if he wounds a vehicle, it does another D3 mortal wounds on top. So he's got a lot of high strength, good AP, good multiple damage attacks. So I think one of his strengths is obviously that really good quality attacks, but I think another one of his strengths is that he has lots of attacks. So you can get quite good value from buffing his to wounds and other things that we'll come to later.
He's also got like Death of the False Emperor, right?
Yes.
And
yes. Oh yes, yeah. So he's got the Hateful Assault, so he gets +1 attack if he charges, and like you said, Rob, he's got Death to the False Emperor. So if you are fighting Imperium, you've got lots of attacks, so you've got more chances of getting that 6 and getting good value out of that.
Which you're very likely to have, right?
What, fighting Imperium?
Yeah, you're very likely to be fighting Imperium.
But they make up like at least half of the meta in almost every tournament, don't they?
Yeah, and there are ways to make it so that you can get pluses to that, right? It's not a flat 6, it's a 6+, so you can get 5s. You can get down to 4s. I think there's a way to get down to 4s.
I think so. Oh, because actually, so his Aura of Discord.
Yes.
So subtract 1 from hit for vehicles within 6, but also in addition add 1 to hit rolls made by Legion Demon Engines while they're within 6 of this model. So he is a Legion Demon Engine.
Yes.
So he's getting +1 to hit. So his Death to the False Emperor is always going on a 5+.
Yes. Right. And then Prescience, thank you, X-Tab is the way to get down to a 4+. So like that's a lot of extra attacks to generate, like on a 4+. Hitting on 2s, obviously he's a Chaos Lord, so rerolling 1s. So like I think he feels like he's extremely efficient in like when he does get there into close combat. Like it's the way.
It's something you have to deal with because he is very scary.
Yeah. Like, which is why we saw him be used to such success at events. I mean, I don't know if we saw him used to such success, but used a lot.
So he often appears in the Possessed bomb list because what you end up doing is you take these things, especially on Alpha Legion anyway, and you stick them in front of the Possessed because they're quite cheap for how much your ability they provide. So Nikos was talking about like the 12 wounds and you can always target him. Well, it doesn't really matter if you're at the front anyway because regardless, you're going to get targeted. Whereas now you've got this 2+ save, toughness 6, 12 wound model with an invulnerable save and a -1 to hit, just walking at you. And it's like, well, I can't shoot Possessed until I've dealt with this thing, and that's not going to be something I'm going to be able to kill quickly unless I've got a shock attack gun. So, most of the time it's just an annoying unit that you have to deal with. And even regardless of Possessed bomb, it's something you have to stop before it comes and eats you.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Nick, not to derail you.
No, it's fine. No, it's all good. Yes, I think that, and he's got one other rule where Spirit Thief, each time this model destroys a vehicle in the fight phase, you can repair a demon engine nearby. I think it's within 3. So if you kill a vehicle, you can heal D3 wounds.
You can slurp it.
Something. Yeah, slurp it up. Yeah, so the legions that I talked about, the other units that can buff it, just to get those out of the way. So obviously you can have the Chaos Lord to reroll 1s to hit, which is we're in 8th edition. It's the reroll 1s to hit edition. I think a character that I always love and put in my Chaos lists is the Chaos Champion, who reroll all wounds in combat. And obviously this guy's a combat beast. It'd be very good to reroll all your wounds in combat, even though you're quite high strength. So you can be wounding on 2s or 3s. If you're fighting, against like a knight or something with toughness 8, you might want that chap around. The downside is it's a 6-inch range buff. So, and he's a foot character, so he's gonna have to keep up somehow, which might not always be possible. Particularly as you probably with these guys going to be zooming them off on their own, using warp time, running and charging and stuff like that.
I think so, especially as we talked about their fragility, because I agree that they're also not fragile. 2-up armor save, 5-up invulnerable save, so they are they're tanky-ish, but they're also
I think the best term is vulnerable but not fragile, because you can always hit them, so they're always open to being hit, but they're not easy to take down. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So sorry, Nick. Please continue.
No, I was going to say, so the legions, like I said, Renegades run and charge, Alpha Legion -1 to hit over 12 inches, and Emperor's Children you strike first as if you charged, so which is really good.
And that's Red Corsair specifically for Renegades, right?
Well, there's a generic Renegade which is run and charge, but then they further defined Renegade chapters later on in the Vigilus campaign, I think. And Red Corsairs was the run and charge Renegade chapter, and you get extra CP.
There you go. Yeah,
which is quite nice.
It's quite tricky, that one. I quite like it. I played against one of the SN Battle Report guys, and he was running it, and that was
that's generally the Renegade chapter I've been using for Berserkers. It's really nice. So there's some generic Warlord traits for the original ones. So there's 3 that I've kind of highlighted. One is my favourite one, but I'll say that for last. So one of them is Hatred Incarnate. So if you can't get your Chaos Champion or don't want to have your Footslogging Chaos Champion to reroll wounds in combat, you could have Hatred Incarnate, which gets you reroll 1s to wound roll. So I've already said this guy has a lot of attacks. He's going to explode a lot of attacks. So you might want to buff your wound rolls to make those more quality attacks and more reliable. So that's pretty good. Unholy Fortitude is another one where you can add 1 to your wounds characteristic. So you make it a bit more resilient. And he gets a 6+ DPR every time he takes a wound, so you're just going to be hanging around a bit longer. But my favourite one it's always been one of my favourite ones actually, Flames of Spite. So if the wound roll for melee weapon of your Warlord is a 6+, it inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition to the damage. So this guy has a lot of attacks anyway. Yep. He's exploding a lot of attacks. He's generating more attacks. They're quite good quality attacks already, and then every wound you make is a 6+ additional mortal wound, and you can make that slightly better with Veterans of the Long War, so you're wounding on a 5+, and there is other things that you can do. I think I've forgotten some of them right now, but example, if you make him a Nurgle, Mark of Nurgle, you can use the demon spell from the demon codex to give him +1 to wound as well, because he does count as a demon with a demon keyword.
You can also cast the -1 to hit spell on him as well. I've forgotten what it's called, but
Miasma Pestilence. So you could be causing mortal wounds at a 4+ with this guy with all your attacks. So he's putting a lot of damage, high quality attacks, and mortal wounds on top of as well. So that's my favorite Warlord trait out of the generic ones, Flame of Spite.
I think I like that as well. I think you also have to gear him up, right? He's not tons of points, but it's definitely a really big distraction piece, and it can do some genuine work. You can build it up so you can go and take out a knight. So why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. It's super fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not like massively reliable if he takes out the knight though. It's good chance. Like he'll do a good amount of damage, but it's not massively reliable just because I've actually seen it happen. And
yes,
it's not. It just kind of bounce.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's still pretty good. Like
it's nice.
really
it's nice
strong,
having it there, right? It's nice having it.
Oh
available.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. This was specifically exactly what Nicholas was talking about for Red Corsairs, charging it forward, turn 1, hitting an item, and the knight just lives and just goes. So yeah.
But I think if maybe to counteract that, you could make him Khorne. Obviously, then you can't. It limits the buffs that you can put on him. You can't do the -1 to hit or the +1 to wound. But if you made him Khorne, and actually no, because one of the problems with going Red Corsairs with him, yes, the run and charge is fantastic, but you can't do Veterans of the Long War on him, which is quite important for those.
You're a renegade and not a legionary.
Yeah, but if you wanted to go Alpha Legion and the Emperor's Children, the specialist detachment from the Vigilus campaign, which was the specific. I'll try and find it. The specific Demon Engine one, Soul Forged pack. There's a stratagem in there, Infernal Engine. So you pick one Soul Forged pack Demon Engine, and that can charge even at advance this turn. So if you wanted to run and charge this guy, you can use that detachment and that stratagem to gain access to Veterans of the Long War, to still get +1 to wound, but then a CP to make sure that you can warp time him with a run both times and still charge.
Chaos is such a deep faction, man, because you're souping so much of the time anyway between legions and between the different books, and then you've got all these different spells and combos and keywords that you can all just abuse to get certain rolls off.
It's a bit of a headache. Having all it's nice to have all the options,
it's deep.
But
There's so much you can do, and then Nicholas is just like, nah, fuck it. It's like,
it is a nice problem to have, but it is a bit of a headache.
I think that's the major issue, right? Is that ultimately that there's so many things you can do, but really, what should you do with him? It's like we talked about, because we did talk about off air how hard it is sometimes to do these rundowns, because ultimately it's not so much what you can do, it's what you're going to do and what role was he going to fill. And as Thomas pointed out, that's sometimes to do in larger part with what the rest of the army that you're taking is decided to do. Like you've obviously
and that's where you take the piece.
Yeah, you've talked about the whole idea where you're going to use him in the front to defend, and we've also talked about him as using something that just careens off. So the usage of him will affect why you want to take the different things.
This is why I have an issue with looters, because if you're taking looters in any kind of build where looters aren't the thing you're focusing all your primary efforts on, then the looters aren't going to actually, be worthwhile. You better point those points elsewhere. If you're taking the looters and making them into a list that you're building around, that's fine. It's still okay, but it's not the best win condition that you can be working towards. And this is why whenever I see looters, it's like either a suboptimal pick into a list because it doesn't fit in that list, or it's a list built around looters and therefore it's not built around something else which is more efficient.
That's a fair point, yeah. Big shout out to Moon Tyranny in the chat. Camelot in the chat also says, making Black Legion, you can use the strat to give him every mark, and then that opens up a load of buffs.
That's a good point.
There's a whole thing in there. Also, big shout out to Frank, who subscribed, and I saw him in the chat earlier, so big love to you for being
Frank.
here. Yes, Frank.
There's just one more Renegade chapter that I think I tried to look back for it in the chat. I think someone shouted out the Flawless Host. Flawless Host, which is another Renegade chapter.
Yeah.
I think it's a Slanesh specific one, but basically each time you make a hit roll of a 6 in the fight phase, you can immediately make an extra attack. So that's this guy, the Lord Discordant, if you're fighting an Imperium, every time you roll a 5+, you're getting an extra attack, and then again with this, you're getting 2 extra attacks for every 5+. Which is pretty amazing. And I think there is a Flawless Host Warlord trait. The specific one, Ultimate Confidence. You may, if you get Death to Imperfect traits, you can make 3 attacks instead of 1. So with that, he could be just exploding attacks out of the wazoo, which is pretty amazing.
It's actually really, really good. Yeah, that volume of attacks being hitting all the time. And then also, like you said, generating all those mortal wounds on the to 60s to wound, right?
Yeah, because I think he's got 11 attacks overall. So what that'd be 3. If we're using that Warlord trait, that'd be 3. So that'd be 9 extra, and then another 3. So it'd be about another 12 extra. So he's effectively doubling his attacks with that which is quite nice.
Mm.
I was just looking for the Alpha Legion Warlord traits. So there's a couple of Alpha Legion Warlord traits which are quite nice for him. So Clandestine, which is -1 to hit, and I think there's a stratagem where you can buy an extra Warlord trait. So you could make him a Warlord and give him this. So -1 to hit. So again, that stacks with your trait. So if you're more than 12 inches away, you're going to be -2 to hit. If you make him Nurgle, you can make him -3 to hit with Miasma of Pestilence. There's another one which I don't think is as good, Master of Diversion, where basically you can redeploy before the game with 3 other units.
Normally I love those traits, but for this one, you're not really too fast. You've got a game plan, you just need to execute it, right?
Yeah, it's more one where you might be able to it's not good to play to gotcha someone, but you
can't assume someone's going to not know that you've got it.
Yeah, but you could I'm going to put my Lordless Godwin right there, and then they deploy to shoot it, and you go, actually, it's over here.
I mean, it also depends on, let's say you've been seized on. It's also useful for those situations, right?
Yeah,
you can just go, well, I'll move. But
get yourself out of.
It doesn't really change the game plan at that point, right? Especially when it's only D3 units.
Yeah. And then there's another one, Faceless Commander, which is a bit more obscure. Once per battle, end of movement phase, you can remove the Warlord from the battle and set it up again 3 inches from an Alpha Legion infantry unit and 9 inches away. It's just a bit of a cheeky movement shenanigan thing you can do. I don't think it's as good as Clandestine, but it's an interesting one you could play around with if you want a bit more mobility in your army.
Indeed.
And who doesn't?
Who doesn't? The Emperor's Children ones are probably some of my favorite Warlord traits. So you can do Stimulated by Pain, which gives you an extra attack for every wound that you suffer, up to a maximum of 3. So this guy's already exploding attacks anyway, so you're getting more attacks, getting more value out of that with that one. Intoxicating Musk, which sounds like a good Christmas present. When resolving an attack made by an enemy unit within 3 inches of this model, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So again, it just makes him a little bit more resilient in combat, and that's where he wants to be. So you're sort of maximising your use out of him by keeping him alive longer, getting more attacks in. Unbound Arrogance is another one.
That's also me.
So when this is the Tom trait. So when you choose this Warlord trait to fight, Rob, you'll love this one.
I can't wait.
This is a fun mini game.
Oh, okay. I'm immediately emotionally invested.
Okay, so when you choose this Warlord to fight, you and your opponent secretly choose a number between 1 and 3. Use a D6, use a D3, and show the number, but concealing this behind your hand. Then reveal your choice simultaneously. If the chosen numbers differ, the Warlord trait can make a number of additional attacks that fight sequence equal to the number that you choose.
I remember this from doing the review. Yes, I'm well into that.
So a little bit of a mini game. That's kind of cool.
That's always really fun. Plus, always really fun to get into your opponent's head, Tom.
Sound.
No, not interested.
Like, you know what I mean? I feel like if you're the opponent, you always pick 3, and then if you're the non-opponent, you always pick 2, unless like your opponent, gets confused.
There used to be a game like this in Sigmar, and I would always just say that I was picking 6. Which was.
And see if your opponent will give you it because they're trying to second guess you.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
Every time.
We see where you're going immediately, mate. Come on.
Yeah, it's fun, right? So sorry, Nick. Please continue.
That's okay. The last one for Slaanesh is Loathsome Grace. When a charge roll is made, you can reroll the dice. So, this is a combat beast. You want to get him into combat. So this makes your getting him into combat more reliable with rerolls. And then when you do make a charge or a heroic intervention, you add 1 to the strength and attacks characteristic until the end of the fight phase. So it's just making him even more devastating in combat because you've got quite a few strength 7 attacks. So if you are going to go and fight tonight, making a strength 7, strength 8 more
reliable. Which is why veterans is so good though, because that +1 to wounds from a 5 to a 4 is massive. It's so big. Yeah,
and then he will have some strength. I think it's strength to his characteristic. So when he goes in with his chain glaive, it's ×2 strength, so it makes him strength 5. That makes him strength 10. So then he would be with veterans wounding a knight on 2s. which is quite nice. So I think that's all the Warlord traits. There's a couple of prayers that you can use, but I feel like with the prayers, I don't think I'd build around the prayers necessarily, because you kind of have to start near and go off. So they're only really going to be relevant in the first turn, I think. Where are they? So Malefic, no, is that Malefic Discipline? Well, that's a sack. There we go, prayers. So Benediction to Darkness, which is number 1. So it's another way of getting a -1 to hit, basically. So you pick one friendly Legion unit within 6, subtract 1 from hit rolls. So you could get -4 on this guy, but it's relatively short range. That's why I don't necessarily like it. And unless you're following the Disco Lord round,
can
with
you
that
stick
dude.
your Dark Apostle on, give him jump pack or something?
No, I think he's just basically, you buy him as he is. You can't upgrade him in any way. He comes with a mace and a book on foot, and that's it.
What else do you need though when you're battling
demons?
You
need a mace and a book.
Yeah,
mace and a book. That's basically it.
Yeah. Hey, bud, how's it going? So another prayer is Soul Terror Portent.
Oh my!
So you pick a Legion unit within 6, add 1 to wound rolls.
There you go. That's another one.
Melee weapons. So it's another. So you could be getting +2 to your wound rolls with veterans, or if you were going for renegades and you can't have access to veterans of the Long War, this is a way of getting +1 to wound on your dude, to take advantage of the running charge for free, which is quite nice. So psychic powers, we've mentioned a couple already. So there's the Nurgle spell Miasma of Pestilence, which quite a lot of people use, which gives you -1 to hit. And the other Nurgle Chaos Demon one, Virulent Blessing, is another way to get, if you make him Mark of Nurgle, obviously, gives him +1 to wound. Range of 18, and it's a 7 to cast. So that's an option. And so that, again, it's another way of getting +1 to wound. So you could be getting +3 to wound with all those 3 buffs stacked on him. But again, it's so many buffs from lots of different places.
And they're not all applicable in one place. Like, you're choosing between different legions and you're choosing between different abilities there. So, I'm not. But it sounds like he's applicable in any of those armies. No, you don't need all of those. No. I do like the idea of him hitting on 4s, though. I think that's crazy good. Generating extra hits on 4s. I think that's. I mean, I can see why people took that, because you don't really have to do much to make that happen, which is obviously super exciting. But I do like the mini game. Tempted by the mini game.
So there's a couple of the Malefic Discipline ones. So you can sacrifice. So if you wanted to do a bit of life tanking, Rob, you could use the sacrifice power, where you damage, I think, one of your own units and heal a demon engine nearby for a couple more wounds. And then Infernal Power, you reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1. So basically, you give your demon a Space Marine captain and lieutenant for a turn. So just increases the reliability, because if he's going off on his own, that might be quite a good spell to put on him. Oh no, actually, I think it might be. Oh yeah, you've got to be near the Psyker, so that's not actually that good. Where are the generic? So basically, the generic chaos spells. It's already been mentioned earlier in the chat. Prescience. That's another way. That's the way to get him on +4, generating extra attacks. So +1 to hit. I like Diabolic Strength because it's quite a low warp charge, and that gives you +2 strength and +1 attack. So more attacks, more chances to explode, which generate more attacks, and then increasing his strength, reducing your need to actually have Veterans of the Long War to make your attacks more reliable, but also increasing the value maybe of that Veterans when you do use it. And then the Big Daddy Warp Time, which is basically
mandatory.
It's the chaos spell. So you move again in the psychic phase. So you can build. I've built lists around this. I'm sure other people have, and that's why it's in every list. So
movement is so important, though.
Even if just correcting a mistake you've made, not even if you're planning to use it like proactively, just like you've made a mistake, it gives you the option to do so much with it. It's incredible.
And this is that's why in my list, like, because it's so important. Like, I think so. Tom, you mentioned you played the guy from SM Battle Reports. I played him, I think, at the same tournament as well, and he
gave me some dice. It was cool.
Yeah, I got a dice as well. I gave him a James Workshop one. But so during our game, he had a Demon Prince that flew really aggressively at me. He warp timed him.
Sun, did he?
He went way too close to the sun. Well, the Iron Hand drop pod sun. So then he warped down the Demon Prince, and it would have got into my intercessor and other stuff and messed them up real nice. But I used the Iron Hand stratagem to deny it on a 4+. I needed a reroll. But this is why for warp time, I am a massive fan of using the Thousand Suns sorcerer to cast it, because you get
and the extra length because it's only 3.
Yeah, I think both are massively important. The reliableness of getting an extra couple of pluses to your cast, but the range I think is massive, because that means you can stand far enough away to cast it without reducing the chance of your opponent to deny it, because it's so important. I think that's massive. So that's some spells we can do, and I think we've just got some stratagems left. So we'll look at the generic ones first. So obviously we talked about it a lot. Veterans of the Long War. It's another staple of Chaos lists. +1 to wound. It's just really good. Fury of Khorne is if you want to make him Khorne, although that limits some of the stuff that you can do with him. I think it only really limits if you make him if you're going to make him Nurgle, stack minuses to hit on him and use +1s to wound with the Nurgle spells. Unless you make him Slanesh from the Flawless Host and Emperor's Children, you obviously won't be able to do this. But if you're running him in Red Corsairs, Khorne might not be the best. Might be a good idea actually, because you can fight twice with him if you don't quite kill the knight the first time. That's infantry, sorry. I think that's it for the generic ones. So Alpha Legion, there's loads of tricksy stratagems you can do just in general. But in relation to the Lord Discordant, you have Conceal, which is how the Possessed Bomb army list worked. So you can stick your Lord Discordant, like Tom said earlier, in front of your entire army, stack up to 3 maybe -3, -4 on this guy, and make your berserkers or possessed untargetable unless they kill him first. And that's 2 CP, so that's really good. And then there's a We Are Alfarius one, so you can give him a Warlord trait even if he isn't your Warlord already. Lots of the other Alpha Legion stratagems apply to infantry and stuff like that, but that's a sneaky set of stratagems. But my favourite are the Emperor's Children ones in terms of stratagems. I think they've got some cool stratagems. So one of them is Honour the Prince. So use stratagem in your charge phase. So after making a charge roll for an Emperor's Children Slanesh unit from your army, you can change the results of the roll of a d6 to a flat 6. I presume, you can only do that once. But so if you've got quite a long, charge, if you got a 7, you can guarantee the charge. But you could obviously use this and then the reroll on the other dice to get a really reliable, quite long charge. So you might have one that you've warp timed right up into your opponent's grill, and he's going to get in because he can't fail if he's 2 inches away. But then you might have another one that's kind of jogged up the side that's quite a long charge, and you can use this on it to make the charge a bit more reliable. So I like that one.
I love how someone's finally commented on the drawing in the bottom right corner.
Yeah, finally Dateless is on it.
Yeah, he's got it.
Also, as soon as this rundown's over, I will be resetting the stream. So if you guys are struggling with it, because we've dropped over half of the frames, which is ludicrous.
Wow.
So, yeah. Anyway, sorry, Nick, please continue.
Okay. No worries. And then, so another one, Tactical Perfection. Use a strategy. It's basically you can redeploy. So you could bait. I mean, it's one where if you have it as a Warlord trait, I feel like you're less likely to get someone with it because you are going to go through your Warlord traits, and then it'll be kind of obvious that you might do that. But you don't generally go through all the stratagems that you can do. So you could bait someone a bit easier with this one, I think. Deploy something really out in the open or somewhere, or one side of the board, and then switcheroo to the other side. So I like that one. And then Incessant Disdain. This is Tom in reference to Reddit. Use this stratagem at the end of your opponent's charge phase. Select one Emperor's Children character. And it can perform a heroic intervention within 6. So again, it's kind of another sneaky, maybe gotcha stratagem as well. But you could catch someone out where they might be trying to charge something and avoid your Lord Discordant. And then you just pop that one and get him stuck in. So that's quite a good one. And there's a few artifacts actually in the Emperor's Children bit which I really liked, and one I wasn't sure whether it seemed to be true, so I'll go on that last. So they've got Armor of Abhorrence, which means you can ignore Overwatch, and there's something to do with morale, but who cares? But the ignoring Overwatch one, I think, is
the game needs a rework, doesn't it? Let's be honest. Morale just needs straight. It's just garbage.
Yeah.
But ignoring Overwatch is important because he's only a 12 wound model. Like, a couple of D6 shots go in, it could just go wrong. Like, it could go very wrong very quick in the Overwatch phase, especially if he's meant to target vehicles. He's running into a vehicle and then he gets punked by the vehicle. On
the 2+ save really does help you out though, so it's like 6 to hit, 2s to save, toughness 6. There's a lot of variables that need to go your way, especially when you're firing things like weapons that are actually going to get through that 2+ save. Because either way, you're either going to have lots of shots which kind of go through the 6+ but don't go through the 2+, or a few shots which go through the 2+ but don't really go through the 6+. So he's already like pretty good for you, but just in case you're really worried about it, for example, you're charging something that does lots of damage to or something, maybe it's worth having that for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and if you're coming up against like Tau or Iron Hands, anyone who's really good at Overwatch, just hashtag value from that one.
Yeah, it's good value. Good value. Especially the Stalker Bolt rifles.
Yes. And another one, Remnant of the Marvagilia.
Oh, yes.
It's a priest only. Actually, so it's a priest, but it's a once per battle. Instead of doing a prayer, you can use this item and put it on an Emperor's Children unit within 6, and you can reroll wound rolls. So if you want to fight tonight with this guy, it might be worth using that, but it's a bit of an obscure specific setup, I think, having one relic just in case you run into a knight and make him more reliable fighting knights. But rerolling to wounds, I think, is always good.
Yeah.
But the one that I think feels too good to be true is the Remnant Reclusive. So when resolving an attack made by a model with this relic, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll. When a charge is made for a model with this relic, you can reroll the result. So it just seems to be a relic that just gives you reroll hits, reroll wounds, and reroll charges.
Yeah, rerolls are always good though.
No downside.
Yeah, there's no downside there, but yeah, it's good. It's good, but I think I prefer the other ones over that.
Okay, yeah. But even though rerolling your hits means if you are
you can always gamble and go for more explodes. It's not
if
reroll
you're exploding on 5 or 6.
That's a good point.
Reroll lots of hits to get more attacks.
You've changed my mind. It wasn't that hard to do, it seems. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yes, I think that's all the stuff that you can do. I mean, look, there's loads more that you can do with it, but they're the ones that I've sort of focused in on. I think after going through all that, I actually really like the Emperor's Children setup, although I think the Alpha Legion one is really good at keeping yourself alive and enabling other units with the Conceal stratagem.
Yeah,
and I really like
Alpha Legion anyway. It just feels like your HQs.
Yeah. Exactly, and I love the Renegade run and charge thing. Warp time and stuff across the board. They're really quick. It's probably a good way of getting multiple in your opponent's face really quick, or just the one. But yeah, so they're the 3 traits and loads of different ways of making the Lord Discordant awesome.
Well, that's great.
Cool. Nice work, Nicholas. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well done, Nick. Yeah, clap, 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 clap. It was good. Yeah, he's. If you guys have got a loadout
I've been
for,
clapping, you just say
yeah,
it.
if you guys got a loadout for the Lord Discordant that you don't think Nick touched on, you think that's the perfect loadout, I would like to hear about it. I'd like to. I'd like your name for your like built up Lord Discordant. It sounded like it would be super cool.
It's like the Demon Prince episode from like years ago.
Yeah, that would be.
These.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd like to see what your version of your Discord is. If you are watching us live, join us again in literally 2 minutes while I sort the internet out. Thank you very much, Nick.